We had no marketing budget. We were just working these crazy hours.
Yeah.
I was driving around, going to these dang expos. I would put the dang the expo fee on a credit card.
Yeah.
I would go to the expo and I just prayed that we would have enough money to pay for it. And one day I just got frustrated and I was out sampling for something. And I just went in there. I was like, I want to talk to the store manager.
Yeah.
I had a little aero pot full of the warm milk with our drink mix.
Sure.
And I was like, try this. And he tried it. And he's like, wow, this is really good. And then he brought the whole deli department. It came out. They all tried it. Then he brought all the upper management.
Wow. That's
next
incredible.
day, they put in a order.
Welcome to this episode of the Wichita Life Podcast. My name is Landon. Today's podcast is brought to you by Il Primo Espresso Café. Il Primo is located at Woodlawn and Central in Wichita and is the oldest coffee shop in the city. They offer a wide variety of drinks, including a drink of the week, like this week's drink, S'mores Cold Brew with chocolate whip, or a cold brew granita with pink whip, and many more options. Stop by Il Primo today and get your day started. On today's episode, I spoke with Eddie Sandoval. Eddie is the CEO and founder of Pinole Blue, which makes food and beverage products made from blue corn with ties back to Chihuahua, Mexico, and the Aztecs. Enjoy my conversation with Eddie Sandoval. All right, I'm here with Eddie Sandoval of Pinole Blue. How are you doing, Eddie?
Pretty good. How are you doing, Landon?
I'm doing well. Can you just tell just a little bit about yourself to get started?
Yeah, my name is Eddie Sandoval. I'm 24 years old, and I started Pinole Blue. I'm originally from a small town by Salina called Solomon. Have you ever heard of Solomon?
I actually haven't heard of that.
Solomon, do you know where Abilene is?
Yes.
Between Salina and Abilene
Okay.
is the small town of Solomon.
Gotcha.
1,000 people, don't
Pretty
even have a
small.
gas station, 32 kids in my
Is there a high
graduating-
school there?
Yeah, there is.
Okay.
32 kids in my graduating class.
Wow.
I went to school there, was born in Salina, raised in Solomon my whole life. My parents have been living there for over 30 years.
Okay.
Got a full ride scholarship to come to Wichita State to study finance.
Very cool.
In 2013.
Mm-hmm.
Then I graduated in 2017 with my business finance degree.
Okay.
But right before I graduated, I couldn't find really a job, as you know, when you're a senior, how stressful that can be.
Oh, yeah.
And I had applied to a bunch of jobs. I had good experience and stuff, but I had this idea of Pinole for a little while. It was kind of lingering in my mind because my sister lived in Boulder, Colorado at the time, and they're like health cautious
Yeah.
to another level.
Mm-hmm.
And I saw a lot of people were like running with just like the minimal shoes, a lot of those five finger shoes and stuff. And I was just like, wow.
Or whatever, yeah.
Mm-hmm. And I was just like, wow, I think the Pinole would be a good idea. And came back and I told the idea to my professor, and she thought it was just brilliant. And next thing you know, she convinced me. My Christmas break,
Okay.
I drove down to Mexico, brought back half a ton of corn from my truck, in my back of my truck,
Mm-hmm.
organic blue corn, and we started in my garage.
Wow.
Next thing you know, we sold 300 pounds of our Pinole, which is just the roasted ground corn, in just 3 months, over 300 pounds in 3 months, and we won. And we competed in the Wichita State New Venture Competition. I won it in 2017, and that's how I started the business right before I graduated.
Very cool. Okay.
Yeah.
So let's just back it up just a little bit. So you got a full ride to Wichita State. Was it there a competition, or did you just apply for that?
I was the Linwood Sexton Scholarship. Have you heard of?
Yeah, I have.
Yeah. It's a huge scholarship. 4 years, everything's paid for. It's a big endowment scholarship.
Very cool. That's awesome.
It's a huge process. I don't even know, like over 500 people apply or something like that, and you have an interview. Yeah.
Congrats. That's awesome. That sets you up pretty well.
Yeah, it was great. It's great.
So you had a couple internships in school, getting your finance degree. What was your plan if you didn't have Pinole Blue starting up?
My whole life, I really thought I wanted to be a financial analyst.
Mm-hmm.
I thought I'd work for a while, and then I'd start a business. But then I noticed how hard that was, and then I was like, maybe I want to be like a credit analyst or loan manager, just something in the financial field. Like,
Sure.
I thought I'd be working for some big investment bank.
Yeah.
That was really what I wanted to do.
Okay, cool. So you graduated in May of 17 then?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so you had about a semester left then. So what did that look like that next semester? Did you dive like full into that once you decided about it, or?
Oh, like when I won the competition?
Yeah, so is that the whole second semester then?
Yeah, so I won it in April 28
Okay. Mm-hmm.
of 2017, and I graduated 2 weeks later.
Perfect.
May.
Okay.
Yeah.
So did you spend a lot of time during that fall or that spring semester then?
Oh yeah, the whole thing was just
Yeah.
Pinole Blue. Like goodness, even I couldn't even like focus in school.
Yeah.
I was just thinking, what the heck am I gonna do with my life? And
Sure.
then this competition, and I'm not gonna lie to you, like I think I won this competition, and I still went to a job interview because I still didn't even know if I wanted to do it.
Not sure if it's quite. Yeah. But that's a pretty good prize. So did that help kind of kickstart Pinole Blue then after you graduated?
Yeah, so I mean, it helped definitely tremendously, at least getting us started. And at that time, I mean, we were just clueless. I had these little lunch bags, and we were just stamping a logo on it and going to these people selling on Facebook and Craigslist, like nothing big.
Yeah.
And then after I won the competition, like reality hit. Like I got to see like all the things you got to do and licensing and insurance and and I was struggling to find a dang commercial kitchen. It was just crazy.
I bet. So who is we? Is that your team from the Shocker, or was it just you?
So when I won the venture competition, I had another business partner.
Okay.
And we won it together. But by the end of the summer of 17, we kind of went our own ways. He was still in school, and I was trying to go full at it, and things just didn't work out. So we went our separate ways, and it took until October to really get Pinole Blue going.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's not. It seems like a long time, but it's not like too long in the
I know.
large scope
That's what everyone
thing.
tells me. You know, like
Sure didn't feel that way though.
You won the check in April, and you started in October. That's awesome. And to me, I was going crazy. I thought it took forever.
Yeah, for sure. So can you just talk a little bit more about Pinole? What drew you to that? Like, how do you know about Pinole, et cetera?
Yeah, so I guess I should have done a little better with my background.
Oh, you're good.
My parents are both from Mexico.
Okay.
They're from northern Mexico, from the state of Chihuahua. They've lived in Solomon, my hometown, for like over 32 years now. So we were the only Hispanics in the whole town, and my parents both are from rural areas in Chihuahua. My entire life, we always drank Pinole. My dad works road construction, and he says nothing works better than drinking roasted ground corn with water.
Yeah.
Surprisingly, and so my entire life we drank it a lot. And then I came to Wichita, and I saw a huge Hispanic market, and you couldn't find it here either. And I was just like, wow, like there's actually, if my family's struggling to find it, other people must be struggling. Sure. But so that's kind of a little bit on that, but on the family end. But with the Pinole, to tell you a little more about what it is so it's a recipe that comes since the time of the Aztecs that involves roasting the corn and grinding it into a fine powder. It almost is like roasted corn flour.
Sure.
The thing is, we use organic blue corn. Blue corn actually has the same antioxidants as blueberries. That is why the kernel is blue. Okay. Yeah, I don't know if you saw it in there.
I did, I saw a couple of them.
And blue corn actually has 20% more protein than yellow or white corn. And blue corn has this is a complex carbohydrate, so it slowly breaks down in your body to give you energy.
Gotcha.
So the Aztecs have been using this for years because they would just drink it with water to provide energy for their warriors.
Right.
And then later on, we started adding more cinnamon and sugar to it. And then there's a very popular Hispanic drink called atole, and that involves putting roasted corn with cinnamon sugar and warm milk.
Right, okay. I have heard of that, yeah.
Yeah, the milk came from the Aztecs when they started conquering, and they started adding milk to it.
Gotcha, okay.
So that's kind of how the background behind Pinole. And there's an indigenous tribe in northern Mexico called the Tarahumaras. They're actually descendants of the Aztecs.
Okay,
they pretty much ran all the way up to the northern part. Chihuahua is the border state with Texas, other side of El Paso.
Sure.
So this area, there's a very remote area called the Copper Canyon. I don't know if you ever heard about it.
I have
in
heard
Chihuahua.
Of that, yeah.
It's you'd have to do some research, but I think it's like 3 times bigger and steeper than the Grand Canyon.
Oh wow!
It's just crazy, and the elevation is just tremendous. And this indigenous tribe, the reason they're still around is because they actually hid from the Spanish so well up in the canyon, they were never able to defeat them all, and that's why they still reside there. And they're one of the last isolated tribes, and they are known for running long distances up in the mountains with sandals made out of tires. Some run even barefoot. Yeah. And we'll drink the roasted ground corn with just water, and we'll run 50 to 100 miles a day.
That's unreal.
There's even a book called Born to Run that talks about it. Yeah. It's still like a New York Times bestseller. And they even brought these Tarahumara runners to Leadville, Colorado to run a 100-mile race in the highest elevation, probably, I think it's the city with the highest elevation in the U.S. And they were beating the top sponsored athletes, running in sandals with made out of tires, drinking this, and smoking a cigarette on top of the mountain. So Yeah, I mean, this book came out.
Yeah.
The whole minimum movement just exploded. I mean, Reebok dropped research. Sorry, not Amazon. Amazon probably wasn't even around at that time. Reebok, Harvard, and they were just wondering, what the heck is it? And the thing is, modern shoes have so much cushion. It makes our feet weaker. That's why there's so many injuries and torn ACLs.
Right.
And when you have no cushion, just the sandal, it makes your foot naturally stronger. And yes, I mean, I bet genetics has to do with it, but just the physique of that part, and then the other part comes from the diet, being with just the minimal food and carbs helping them.
That's interesting. I think one of my roommates, we had a roommate that came and stayed with us for an internship. He was from New York or somewhere, but he was reading that book at the time. And so I'm pretty sure that summer I went and ran barefoot a couple times because he inspired me from that book. So, yeah.
That's funny. Yeah. There's a movie supposed to come out with Matthew McConaughey.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So
I haven't actually read it. I'll have to look that up.
Yeah. There's an Audible and a TED Talk about it,
Yeah,
too.
for sure. That's cool. So how often did you go to Mexico growing up? Do you have family there still?
Yeah, I still have a lot of family there. Growing up, we would go twice a year, summer and then during Christmas. So I was very familiar with the culture and everything. And while I was down there, my parents, I mean, you see the Tarahumaras all over the place. And my dad told me stories about them because my dad is from the mountains, from the same district. My dad even knows their language.
Oh, really?
Because Tarahumaras, they have their own language, their own dialect.
Is that a variation of Spanish, or is it completely different?
It's very indigenous.
Oh, wow.
There might be some Spanish words tied into
by
it.
now, there's
by now, yeah.
That's interesting, though. Wow.
Yeah, like hi, how are you is cuiratowi.
Wow.
Tortilla for them is remeque. Yeah,
wow.
So it's very different.
That's interesting.
And my dad didn't even know their language. My dad would like wear their sandals. Was raised with the Pinole. Yeah,
that's incredible.
My family, we're from the south part of the canyon, so more towards the south part. Yeah.
Wow. So it's kind of like this was meant to be then. It was like,
you know, like I was telling you when you asked me what I wanted to do, I wanted to be a financial analyst. I was like, one of these days I'll start my business. I don't know on what, but I'll do something.
Sure.
And I've always loved to give back. I've always been a big community guy and trying to help, and this kind of all brought it together, you know.
Right.
Here I am sharing my family traditions. I'm not making people healthier with their options, and at the same time I'm giving back because part of our mission statement since the day I started is we're going to donate part of our sales back to the Tarahumara tribe.
That's incredible.
They definitely lack a lot of resources, being in a remote area. That's the reason they have to run.
Right.
And then they also don't get much resources even from the government or anyone. So that's one thing I always pledge to do. Yeah,
definitely. That's really cool. So what other forms? So you mentioned there's the powder you drink with water or milk or however you want to do it. What other variations do you have?
Yeah, so we started with just the original, just the dry mix, roasted ground corn. Then I developed 2 protein mixes. People ask me, do you have a background in nutrition? I have nothing. Funny story. My senior year, I still lived at the dorms because I was on a scholarship. And my roommate, because we were still experimenting, and I went to Whole Foods, bought all these different types of foods, different sugars. My roommate walks in and he's like, what the heck? I mean, it's because there's just stuff everywhere. And I was like, all I'm going to tell you is it's for a project, and I'm not making drugs in here.
Rest assured.
Yeah. So I kept it very honest with him. But anyways, we make 2 protein mixes. We've got the original, and then we got the pumpkin spice. The pumpkin spice one is the top seller, because it just has the roasted ground corn with cinnamon sugar and then a little bit of allspice. Yeah. And when you add warm milk to it or even water, it tastes like a chai tea. Yeah. Or like a chai latte, and it's huge. We even have coffee shop making it into lattes, and then if you want a shot of espresso, they'll put it in there and it tastes delicious.
That sounds amazing.
The first one that picked us up was our coffee house here in town on Riverside. And they still, if you go in there and ask for a latte, they'll make it with it. For you.
I'll have to check that out.
And then from there, we developed 2 cookies. We make our peanut butter no-bake cookies. We call them Enduro Bites. Yeah, and that has our protein mix. We even put chia seeds in it. And then the other ones are blue corn sugar cookies. Okay. It's kind of, in Mexico, there's a very traditional pastry called the Mexican wedding cookie. It's just like a little flour cookie with powdered sugar on it. Yeah. If you go to any Hispanic party, there's a chance they have them. And I call them Mexican sugar cookies, except instead of flour, we make them with blue corn.
Okay. That's awesome.
And we even have Leslie coffee shop selling them there. Like if you get a coffee, you go in there and they have them there. They have a cool
logo.
There
yesterday.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I'm surprised you didn't see them. Yeah, they're right there on the front.
I wasn't paying too much attention, I guess. So where all do you sell your stuff right now?
Yeah, we're in so many. We're in 180 stores in 13 different states. We got all the Green Acres in town. We got most of the Hispanic stores. If you go to the Juarez Bakery, they carry stuff. Even if you go eat over here at El Vaquero Mexican Grill, they have a little display with all their stuff.
Oh, nice.
We don't really have a place that carries everything, but we also have our little retail space here.
Sure.
A 242 North Cleveland. We just moved here in November.
Mm-hmm.
And if you come in, you can, on Fridays and Saturdays, you can get Pinole products as well.
Cool. And do you sell online?
Yeah, and then we've always started our online store with free shipping, and then we just launched on Amazon as well.
Oh, wow, that's big.
Yeah, so we have quite a different variation of all places you can get it. Yeah, so hopefully we continue to grow and get into the box stores.
Yeah.
We just got it approved for Whole Foods, so hopefully we get in there.
I was about to ask, have you looked at like Whole Foods or Sprouts or anywhere?
We've, what's funny is we've struggled to get into Dillon's.
Yeah.
But Whole Foods just picked us up. And then another funny story is
big time.
We're in no local running store. We struggled to get into them, but we got like a running store in Colorado. We got a running store. We're about to get picked up in a running store in Iowa and another store in Minnesota.
Wow.
Oh, and then 3 running stores in Oklahoma.
Wow.
So, yeah.
Spreading all over the place. That's cool.
Yeah, I mean, that's the cool thing about our products. We're so diverse.
And then is it just the U.S.? I think I read some kind of international stuff you're kind of working on.
Yeah, so we're just in the U.S., but just off Instagram,
just
talking about social media. We've had a couple European stores reach out to us that they really want to carry, especially a running store in Chamonix, France, that wants to carry our product. But we're not even close to getting with all that legality.
Yeah, I was going to say, there's a lot more to that than.
Yeah, that one's a whole nother show, but hopefully someday.
Yeah, for sure. So how did you come up with the logo, or did you hire somebody for that?
Yeah, so the logo at that time, we hired someone else to make it, but then just the logo part. But all our other designs and everything was actually my roommate from my sophomore year. He was he was my roommate.
Yeah.
He studied graphic design at WCU. We kept a close relation, and he's taken over. He's made the brochures and everything.
Sure.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So what's it like starting a company? Is it what you thought it was? Harder?
Oh, goodness. It's funny you're doing a podcast. Have you ever listened to the podcast, How I Built This?
Oh, all the time. Most of them, yeah.
Those are my favorite.
Yeah.
Every time I'm traveling, I think I've listened to all of them.
Yeah.
I think How I Built This doesn't do such a bad job, but most of the time the media, when it comes to startups, they always talk about the successes.
Yeah.
And honestly, it's kind of frustrating because it inspires you. Like, oh, I want to be my own boss. I can do this. Like, I can drink coffee at 3 o'clock in the afternoon in my Tesla. No, it's not like that.
Yeah.
It's hard. It's brutal. I used to joke around with people. I was like, are you thinking about starting a business? Well, I recommend you don't start it.
Yeah, seriously.
But it's not like that. It's really hard. It's definitely challenging because you really have to, you don't see the success. Prepare to work extra than you ever have before. You don't see the money right away, so be prepared to be extra broke if you're already broke.
Right.
And that's definitely and then I think the biggest one is learning how to adapt because it's never a straight line. I mean, the stuff you learn in school definitely helps you set a foundation, but I had to read a 14-page document one time on nutrition labels alone. Like,
right.
Like I had no one to look at. I had to teach myself this. So learn how to adapt and wear many hats.
Sure. Yeah, I think a lot of those podcasts and like movies, like I think a good example is the Social Network movie about Facebook. I think it's like it makes it so glorified, and there's like the success bias. Like you hear about the stories that succeeded, you're not hearing about the 999 out of 1,000 that failed.
Oh yeah, just like the long hours and the brutalness, and yeah, it's bad. It's definitely different than what you see.
Yeah, for sure. So do you still get your corn from Mexico, or do you get it from somewhere else?
We're still importing it from Mexico.
Mm-hmm.
I did get a guy that cleans seed here in the Midwest, and he cleans it for me in Nebraska, and then we buy it from him. He brings it in bulk, and then we get it from him.
Is there anywhere in the U.S. that grows blue corn?
Yeah, and the northern part, Midwest, the Corn Belt's starting to grow it now because of blue corn chips. If you go to the stores, you see blue corn chips. Most of the time, it's blue corn. A lot of them are dyed, so just pay attention. But they're starting to grow it now because of the blue corn chips. I think Nebraska, Illinois, and I think Minnesota's starting to grow some too.
Okay, very cool. So how are you doing like a ton at a time? Like what kind of a scale is it? Is it just like a ridiculous amount?
So one thing I need to address, I don't know if this is the right time, but we just started a tortilla division.
Sure, yeah.
In November. The tortilla division has been crazy.
Yeah.
We started the whole tortilla factory, and we're the only stone ground tortilla. What that means is we actually cook the corn, grind the corn with a stone grinder, which makes the dough, and then put it through the machine.
Yeah.
Everyone uses an instant mix where all you do is add water and it makes the corn dough.
Gotcha.
Kind of like made from scratch, cake and box cake.
The difference, yeah.
The taste is way different. The texture is different. Those tortillas you see all day on the shelf, like they have tons of chemicals on them, and that's the reason they last so long. So that side with the white, we also launched white corn tortillas for the Hispanic market just here in Wichita.
Sure.
And then the blue corn tortilla has been quite an expedition because when we first launched, people thought we were crazy. Like, why in the world would I eat a blue tortilla? People thought they were moldy. Like, it just didn't go the way we thought.
Not what people expect.
Well, we started selling tacos here in our parking lot right here. I brought a friend that's a chef, and he helped us with the recipe, and we got it, and he was making tacos. Just from social media, we had Dining with Denise, Channel 3 News come out.
Wow.
I would say a good chunk of Wichita knows. If you tell anyone about a blue tortilla or a blue taco, they probably heard about it or they know it's us.
Yeah, definitely.
I go to breweries and people are like, hey, it's the blue taco guy. And I was like, yeah, it's me.
Hey, not a bad reputation.
Yeah. So with the tortilla division, we're still small. We're still not at full capacity. But that tortilla machine that I have back there can make 3,500 tortillas in an hour.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
And right now we're just cranking on the weekend between 5,000 to 6,000 white corn ones.
Wow.
And then the blue ones a little bit less. And then the Pinole side, we bring tons of corn at a time. At first it was just 1 ton, 2 tons. And then now it's just more and more. We've sold I think we're at like 4 or 5 tons of blue corn just in the Pinole side.
Yeah, that's cool.
So 8 to 10,000 pounds.
Yeah. What's the shelf life of the different products or the
so
tortillas?
the dry mixes last up to 2 years. They're not perishable.
Right.
It's a dry mix, and the cookies, they last 6 months. The tortillas refrigerated, they only last 3 weeks, so it's definitely a lot more perishable.
Not bad, though.
Yeah. We vacuum seal them to help preserve them, and then you just have to keep them refrigerated.
Sure. Yeah, I think that's reasonable. That's not like
and you can also and you can also freeze them and stuff. So they do a good, decent job.
Definitely.
Yeah.
What would you say your biggest challenge has been as a startup company? Is there? I mean, I'm sure there's a laundry list, but what sticks out?
I think the biggest one, is if you say right now, is definitely educating people about our product because it's so different. Like, you try to explain to someone over the phone what Pinole is, they think you're selling drugs or something. They think you're crazy. So that's the biggest thing because there's even Hispanics that don't know what Pinole is. So we have to go out there, tell them what it is, what is it used for, and then sampling. They want to taste it. Like, you look at that blue corn sugar cookie, people are like, this looks weird, and they try it and they love it. Our pumpkin spice mix, this is a perfect example, especially for this podcast. Green Acres, I tried forever to send my stuff to them, and they would just, it took a while because they've got a process. And one day I just got frustrated, and I was out sampling for something, and I just went in there. I was like, I want to talk to the store manager.
Yeah.
I had a little aero pot full of the warm milk with their drink mix.
Sure.
And I was like, try this. And he tried it. And he's like, wow, this is really good. And then he brought the whole deli department. It came out. They all tried it. Then he brought all the upper management.
Wow. That's
next
incredible.
day, they put in a order.
That's amazing. That honestly sounds straight out of how I built this. With like the Stacy's Pita Chips or one of those.
Exactly.
Just walk straight in, make them try it.
And I could just tell you unlimited stories of that. Another funny one is we went to a big running store company in Colorado. It's called Jackrabbit. They're huge. They own 70 running stores across the nation.
Wow.
I go in there and I'm talking to their freaking HR department. They thought I was crazy, and I was just like, "Hey, try this." And next thing you know, they called us for an appointment with the buyer the next month.
Wow, that's what you got to do. Just keep doing that.
So yeah, a good chunk of our sales come from door-to-door sales, and sales come from door-to-door sales, and it's just telling people about it because once they try it, most of the time they love it. If people have like an allergy or it's part of their diet, like I respect that.
Sure.
My product isn't for everyone, but that's definitely the biggest challenge, and there's tons of other crazy stories. But
yeah, I bet.
Yeah.
So what's your team look like now? So you're kind of running the show. How
I
many employees?
got another business partner after I split with the first one, and he's taken over the social media. He's definitely my marketing guy. If you see all those nice videos and stuff, those are
it looks really good.
Thank you.
I'm impressed.
Those are from him. He does an incredible job.
Is he here in Wichita?
Yeah, he is.
Cool.
He started another business too called Influx, and he does a lot of videography and stuff. So I have him, my business partner, and then we got 3 part-time employees right now.
Okay. And what is it? Are you like the CEO? What's your title?
I'm the CEO, founder.
Yeah.
For a while, now that now that we're going so much, roles are kind of changing. But man, I did everything. I was the one roasting the corn, grinding the corn. We put the labels on the bags. We seal the bags. I was doing the sales, everything.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm still CEO and founder, and now I'm dedicating myself more to definitely the sales side.
Cool. So what's your day-to-day look like then? Are you going, not necessarily door-to-door, but door-to-door with like Green Acres and other places?
I'd say a good chunk of business is definitely networking. Like
Yeah.
Today, you get meet new people or hear about events and stuff. Definitely on the local presence, and then the other part is I do spend a lot of time on the road. I was up in Minnesota for almost three weeks ago for a whole week, and then we go to a lot of marathon expos.
Yeah, that's a really good idea.
We've been to the Houston Expo, we've been to the Austin Expo, we've been to Tulsa, Oklahoma City, lots in Colorado. I feel like I'm in Colorado almost once a month. I'm actually going to the Leadville Race Expo next month.
Nice.
Yeah. So, yeah, my day to day can really change, but, during the week, most of the time, like Monday through Thursday, I'm doing more of the back end stuff, with payroll, accounting, and taking care of how we doing on inventory and all that, and trying to do networking, reaching back out to the store, seeing what we can do, checking social media, answering emails, all that fun stuff. And Friday, Saturday, Sunday, we're cranking out tortillas, and that takes up a big part. And we'll be making tortillas. We go out sampling. We're talking to restaurants. We're telling them, hey, what can you do, and stuff like that. So yeah.
Nice. What's the biggest challenge, or is there a challenge to a startup in Wichita? Like, do you think it'd be easier or harder somewhere else than in Wichita?
Ooh. Well, I know every business is different. Every product's different, right? One thing I tell people about Wichita is there's some advantages and disadvantages, right?
Right.
But I think the big things is, one, it's super cheap.
Yeah.
No matter where you go. And second thing is you're in the middle of the U.S., so manufacturing, shipping and stuff, it's perfect because even for the shipping, shipping has a weird thing. It's called, I think it goes by regions.
Yeah.
Like, since you're in the middle of the U.S., your shipping's almost not going to be as expensive like if you're in Florida shipping to Washington.
Right.
So that's really good.
Yeah.
The other thing about Wichita is, people complain that it's a very traditional city, that, we've had the same stuff for so long. But one thing I do tell to people is Wichita, the people are so nice, and the culture, if you can if your business is just a little bit different from the traditional and somehow you can levy it into that to teach the people to we're not so crazily different, you're going to be fine. People are going to come to you. And I think that's a big advantage for Wichita.
Right.
And like they say, it's a big city with it's a city in a small scale, right?
Right.
Yeah. So
makes sense.
So personally, I think it has a lot of advantages.
Sure.
Yeah.
Were there any challenges as a minority, kind of as a minority founder or anything like that?
Yeah, I get this question a lot, and myself, I am first generation. I was raised in a small town and stuff, but to me, I think honestly it has been a bigger blessing.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong, I am a minority, but I'm a male, so I don't want to take credit away from if you're a female, because they have to go through way more bigger challenges than probably I do. But for me, it's definitely been great, because an advantage, because I speak the two languages. Yeah. I can go inside a Mexican store and talk to the owner, and I can step out and talk to the CEO of a natural food store.
Yeah.
And then, so that, I think, to me has been a huge advantages. And I think with me also being raised in a small town, I got to experience the most of the two cultures. I mean, my mom, we would make turkey and stuff for Thanksgiving, and then we would have Mexican tacos at the same time. So,
no kidding.
So to me, I don't see it too much of as a challenge. It's definitely been a blessing, and I'm very thankful for it. And so far, I think I do appreciate for what it has brought to me.
Yeah, and I don't know who else would be kind of in the position to make Pinole Blue. Like, you have, like, your family's from that area. Like, you've had it your whole life. I mean, I've never had it. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I wouldn't even have the idea to start it. It'd have to be maybe something with immigrants. Yeah. You're right. But, at the same time, a lot of these running products, they could have developed something with it, because, they don't know anything about it, but they know it works. So, so that could have been an advantage for them. But for me, I think it's been that. And I'm not a runner, so I've been getting into running. I'm not much of a runner.
We didn't even have a cross-country team. So, I ran track, and now I'm getting into running, and I've had to learn about runners and how things are different. So, I mean, there's been other disadvantages, but no, for being a minority, no, I think I've been very blessed, actually, that all the opportunities that came up.
That's awesome. Is there any competition? Does anybody else sell Pinole? I know you said it's kind of hard to find growing up and everything, but is there anybody else?
There is a couple companies. If you look up on Amazon, there's a couple like cheap yellow white corn stuff. There's the two ones that I really consider competition. Well, maybe three. Is one out of Arizona called Mascorima Pinole. Okay. But there's this like white corn. It comes in tubs. It's a little different. And then we have another one called Purely Pinole.
Mm-hmm.
They're probably the biggest one, but they're theirs is more like a hot porridge.
Sure.
It used to come like in little bowls too. I think it comes in bags too, and it's just super thick and it's just different. And I think the guy is from Central America, so it's a little different.
Yeah.
And his is made with purple corn.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then he has some with like fruit and stuff in it. So he's
it is
but
like
but I think he's going a different route now with like granola bars and stuff
Yeah.
too. And then there's another one that was a what do they call it? Kickstarter?
Yeah.
But they're out of the UK, and
Oh wow. That's
if you did research on them, you might think they're really damn similar to us.
Really? Was that before or after you guys?
After me. That's the worst part. Because I think they're trying to make it with blue corn, and I don't know. They raised a lot of money on Kickstarter, but goodness, you look at their packaging and everything. They're even making Enduro bites that look like mine, and but they're in the UK market. Yeah. I don't even know where they've gone, but their packaging and everything looked awesome, like incredible.
Yeah.
But they're from the UK, and they're claiming that they like have roots back to the Tarahumaras and stuff, and I don't know. It just seems a little different to me.
Wow.
Kudos to them, right? Like, I mean, there will be competition someday, and I think competition will help us. And I mean, hopefully someday there's enough room for all of us in the market. Right?
Rising tide raises all ships, and
that's how it goes, right?
Yeah. Well, you got Wichita behind you, so
thank you.
Propel you to at least capture the U.S. and everything else. So.
Yeah.
Let's see here. How did your time at Wichita State help kind of propel Pinole? Like, there's definitely the new venture competition, but like stuff you learned or networking. How did that help you?
Yeah, we had a whole article with Wichita State that came out, and they did a thing about that, and that's one thing I elaborated. Goodness, I'm very thankful with my time at Wichita State. I studied finance, but dang, with what I learned, it helped me a lot with where I'm at today. I would say not only like the knowledge, they teach you the basics. Yeah. I only had one marketing class, but goodness, I'm thankful because I had to learn a lot of stuff from it. But I would say the connections was just huge. Like, I met my both business partners.
Yeah.
My previous one and the one I have now. I've got to meet my professor. She's the one that even gave me that inspired me to do it. Yeah. Like, without WSU, that wouldn't even existed.
Sure.
And the venture new competition, financial stability was great, but if I ever need something, I reach out to them, and they have connections. So I would say the networking and the connections was the biggest one for me for Wichita State.
Yeah, definitely. So the name Pinole Blue, I love the name, but it is very simple. How many names did you go through to get to that?
We were stuck on like 3. It was like Pinole Blue, Pinole Azul, and just Blue Pinole. I think that's what we wanted to stick to the Pinole because, one, it tells you what it was.
Sure.
And
you don't want to get too crazy.
Well, that way it would be able to elaborate with the Hispanic market and the American market. So it was really hard what we're doing. And then we stuck with blue because it was blue corn. Like,
I think it's perfect balance.
Stuck out perfect. Yeah. So we were really close to picking Pinole Azul. But Pinole Blue really stuck out, and people liked it. It flows nice, and that's what we picked.
Nice. So I know it's not cheap to start something like this or any startup or business. So you had a little bit of funding from the competition.
Yeah.
Did you get a lot of connections with investors from that, or how did that process did you go get investors, or was it family? How did you fund it?
For over a year, we bootstrapped it. Yeah. We didn't raise a single penny.
That's awesome.
I don't even know to this day how the heck we did it. We had no marketing budget. We were just working these crazy hours.
Yeah.
I was driving around, going to these dang expos. I would put the dang the expo fee on a credit card.
Yeah.
I would go to the expo, and I just prayed that we would have enough money to pay for it. And that's how we did it for the longest time. We had a small little facility down in Hayesville with Bash Brothers Barbecue. Mm-hmm. Sarah Jane Salsa is with them too. At that time, she has her own place now, and then I have my own place. And I'm very thankful for them. They taught me a lot about the food process and everything. And just the long hours. But we finally grew, and we thought we needed a little more money. And I found an investor, and he gave me a loan at first. And then we got the idea with the tortilla division, and that's where I had to look for bigger money, and that's where the investor came in. He's not from Wichita, someone I personally knew growing up. Okay. And he's definitely helped me tremendously. Yeah. And that's what helped with all the machinery back there.
I was going to say, how difficult was it even figuring out what machinery you needed and stuff?
I did a lot of research, and I don't know. My dad does road construction, and I helped him a lot, so I'm pretty good with the hands-on stuff. And I did do some research. I saw a couple other tortilla places in town, and these machines came out of Houston. And the worst part Landon, is that we're one of the only tortillas making it at a stone ground.
Yeah.
So all these tortillas are made for that dry mix
Mm-hmm.
that is very smooth. When you add water to it and it runs perfectly. And here we are grinding the corn, trying to get it as smooth so the machine thinks it's the same thing.
Yeah.
You're an engineer. Try thinking how this went. We had belts popping, wires popping. I mean, it took a couple months till we got it dialed down on the recipe.
Yeah.
And corn is a very interesting product because everything affects it. Heat, a
lot of variables.
The dust, everything. So we had to really dial it down. And so that's where I did my research and kind of seeing what we were doing. And that's where I picked the machinery that we have now.
Sure.
And then the other one was money, because we didn't have the money to buy a really, really nice one.
Yeah, for sure. So the Shocker Venture competition, can you just talk a little bit about what that process actually looked like? Are you people checking in with you like throughout the semester? Or are you just kind of going and then it's a big presentation at the end? What does that look like?
Yeah. So actually what kind of helped it too was this other program that W2 has called iCorp.
Okay.
Or maybe it's iCorp, ICORE.
Yeah.
You bring them an idea, and they sometimes even give you money, and you just have to go to like 5 classes every Saturday. And a lot of biomedical engineers and stuff do it too, just to get their idea, kind of thought of. But then the Shocker Venture competition, you apply first. Can't remember actually the very first part. I think you just submit your idea with like a little video. That's all it is first. And then after that one, then you have to send your business plan. And then after the business plan, it's a trade show with 16 teams.
Okay.
I think originally like 100 people sign up, and then we made it to the final 64. And then from the trade show, it comes down to 16. And then the trade show is really cool because you have like a little table and you're throwing in,
pitching everybody,
and it's open to everyone. So you have a lot of judges come in, you have students coming in.
That's cool.
And then from there we have the final round, which is the top 5, and then this one is just the investors and the judges. Well, sorry, no investors, just the judges. And they come and you pitch them. It's in Devlin Hall. It's really cool.
That is cool.
It's definitely private and stuff. And then from there they select the winners, and I think the top 3 or 4 places get money. So
nice.
So it's not just first place.
Yeah.
We win, and then me graduating, it might be a little different. I wasn't as super connected.
Yeah.
But no, they check in every so often. I check in with them, and there's times I need something.
Right.
And we reach out to them, but we still keep in close connection.
Yeah, definitely. So what's next? Just continue to try to pick up store by store, get into the Whole Foods of the world and stuff like that. What's next?
If it was that easy, it'd be awesome. Our goal is to, with Amazon, hopefully, to pick up. It's definitely picked up a lot. Is to continue to grow it, and the other thing is to continue trying to get into the big box stores. That's what we want to do. We want to get into the big box stores, and then continue promoting it at the running stores and getting into the like coffee shops and stuff, and just making people aware of what Pinole is. Yeah. That's our goal right now, and then in the future definitely hit the international market and just continue to grow.
That's awesome. So what is something you wish you knew when you started that you know? Is there a major lesson? I mean, I'm sure there's a lot.
Yeah. I say this one so often, I maybe should think of a better one. But one thing I always tell people is I wish I would have knew more about like food regulations.
Yeah.
Especially like with the food processing license and nutrition label and all that stuff. I mean, the barbecue sauce guy and Sarah Jane helped me a lot, but it's a whole nother language. Like you got to go get insurance and this and that. I had to send all my stuff to K-State, and they test you for the nutrition, and they send it back, and then even the size of the font has to be legal on the nutrition. Like just stuff like that, all the little stuff. To me, I thought it slowed me down and was driving me crazy. So I wish I would just have had a little more guidance there, and maybe someone with a nutrition background as well.
Right.
But I had to learn it myself, and here we are today. If anyone ever needs help, I tell them I had to learn all of it, so I'm more than welcome to help them out with it.
Awesome. Very cool. Like you just said, I mean, you're willing to help out other people. What has the startup ecosystem in Wichita look like? Has that helped a lot? I've talked to a couple other people in town, like the Lawn Buddy guys and a few other people. Have you talked to many of those guys?
Yeah. All the startup people, we all know each other.
That's what it seems like. Jocelyn and Steven and everybody.
We may not hang out with each other. We may not be all in the same office, but we all know of each other, seen each other. I mean, there's not that many of us, but we all know each other. I think Yeah, the culture's changed a lot, as you know, with all these little startup pubs and 1 Million Cups and Jacob Wayman doing the what's this called? Startup Grind.
Yeah,
I mean, there's a lot. So I think that's great. I mean, it's tremendous, especially because Wichita being so traditional.
Yeah.
Even I feel like at WSU, like people are scared to step out of the tradition of I'm gonna go get a job and work.
It's true.
Which there's no wrong with that. Like if you're happy, I don't care. And it's just not the route I chose. But I think I do know as a fact that many people were like me, like they were just scared, and it's just that fear of failure, and it is scary. I will tell you that. But goodness, once you've burned a couple bridges and stuff, it's not burnt bridges, but once you've gone hit rock bottom, like you definitely bounce back. I'll tell you that.
Yeah.
But with the culture here, I think one thing that I think Wichita is the first that Wichita I think should do also a better hand is we have a lot of the big businesses and stuff, and I mean they do put some money into the donations and stuff, and we have all these little hubs. But I think we still need to do a better job of giving each other a hand, especially with businesses that have been around for a while. And then it's sometimes I think for a business, it's not so much as just, signing them a check or telling them do this instead of doing that. I think you really almost have to walk with them hand to hand, explain to them, do this, check in with them more often, because there's a lot more to it. And I think that's one thing Wichita still lacks. Don't get me wrong, the startup culture is coming along, but we still struggle. We're still struggling with giving a hand culture, I think. But I will say, I mean, we're very Midwestern, so people are at least nice. It's not as bad as other places, and I think that's a big thing.
Yeah, I'm just kind of getting plugged into the whole startup grind. Some like it's now W or like Young Professionals, that kind of stuff. Just the last year or so, but it does seem like it's gaining steam. Like more people seem to get involved.
It's done a big change, and I mean, as we know, Wichita's changed a lot with the whole local. Yeah, it's done awesome. I mean, with all the breweries and the coffee shops, the local pride, and I think that's changed a lot. I wasn't from Wichita, but my sister did go to Wichita State, and I came in right at the right time. I came in here in 2013, right after the Final Four team. Yep. And it was just when everything just took off.
It was on fire,
Yeah, so that's one thing I got to say. I think we're doing a good job, but we can definitely do a better job.
Sure. What advice would you have for those Wichita State students or students in college or people that have an idea that want to start something? What advice do you have for them?
The Wichita State New Venture Competition, I believe it's open to everyone. You don't even have to be Wichita State students, so that's a big one. The other thing is, I mean, even the Cox Business Competition, but just to get started with, one thing I tell people, there's like so many little hubs that I think if you were to start a business, it might even be scary. You don't even know which one to go to or who to talk to, which kind of is. But I think the biggest thing is, you can start with the baby steps. Like you can reach out to another entrepreneur, maybe go to one of those, and definitely try to find guidance in someone that's kind of related to your area. Yeah, that's a big one. And even your professors, I mean, they can be your best friends. Sure. So they're not there just to grade your papers and fail you. No. I've gotten great advice from some of my professors.
That's awesome. Do you have anything else to touch on for Pinole
Blue? One thing sorry, I want to address on that last picture of entrepreneurship. Sure. As I mentioned, Wichita is very friendly. And like I said, if you have an idea, you can really talk to anyone. I met a lot of people like the running stores. I just went in there and talked to them. They gave me good advice. I actually gave a funny story one time when I was first learning how to even grind corn because I was clueless. I was at Great Harvest, and it says fresh flour milled every day, right? And I talked to the manager. I was like, hey, is your flour really milled here? She's like, yeah, we have the mill in the back. Come see it. And she showed me it.
That's awesome, yeah.
And showed me how it works, and she showed me what brand. And I'm just telling you, you
just got to ask.
So just ask. That's the biggest thing. And Wichita people are very friendly. Even if you don't get along with them, they'll talk to you or say hi, and that's one big advice I have to give people.
That's awesome. So we're just going to switch it up just a little bit. I have some questions that I kind of cherry picked from some of the other podcasts I listen to. So
you're going to be the next Guy Raz.
Maybe. What is something you often recommend to people, like books, podcasts, anything like that?
Ooh, okay. Personally, I'm a huge guy with how's it called? The Guy Raz one.
How I Built This.
How I Built This. Yep. That one's huge. That one's helped me a lot. books, Phil Knight Shoe Dog.
Yep.
Have you read it? The Nike one?
Great book. Yeah.
Read that
that's
one?
Fantastic.
Have you read the one about the Tom Shoes guy?
I actually just finished that. Start
Purpose?
Something That Matters.
Yes.
Yeah.
That
I
one
actually just finished that like a month
Really?
ago. Yeah.
Look at you. It's like, man, I can't even give you advice then.
Everybody else.
Yeah. That one's huge. I think that one definitely opened my mind on that one.
Yeah, that was really cool.
And then one thing I started doing, I like started following like the Forbes Instagram page,
Sure.
and maybe like the Forbes is a good one, Bloomberg, stuff like that.
Yeah.
I mean, for me, because I'm very businessy and stuff, but
For sure.
I don't know, if you're an engineer, you might want to follow some of those big manufacturing plants or some of those facilities. So I think just be more around things that interest you, like a support group.
Mm-hmm.
And the other big thing is know what you're not good at.
Sure.
And be able to admit to it. That's a big one. There's a lot of things I'm not good at, and I've had to learn that, okay, Eddie, you can't do this. You have to have someone else do it.
Sure.
So that's a big one as well. But those, man, the Guy Raz, How I Built This. You just said books and that's it, right?
Yeah, whatever you want. I mean,
yeah, I think those are huge. And I think the other thing is just like reach out, just ask, if you see a business owner or something, just ask,
Yeah.
You go to some of these events, most of the time people stick around and just ask them, like, hey, how'd it go with this? One of the early people I talked to was, I can't think of her name. The lady that's made tea. The tea company.
I'm not sure.
I can't think of her name right now, but she started a little tea manufacturer. And I was just like, hey, how'd you do it? How'd you get into Whole Foods? Just stuff like that.
Yeah.
So I think that's a big one. Learn how to ask.
Sure. Do you have a favorite failure? It doesn't necessarily have to be Pinole Blue, but it could be. Do you have a favorite failure in life?
There's so many, and this one might be getting old, but this one's a really funny one. When I first started, and I brought in corn. At that time, I bought it in a tote.
Okay.
2,000 pounds of corn in this huge white tote on a pallet. I mean, this thing was just enormous. It looked kind of like what landscaping rock comes in, And I had it down in, I think I had it in mini storage at that time or something, because we didn't even have room for it in Hayesville. Mm-hmm. And I needed to move it from that facility to somewhere else. I tried, and I didn't want to go rent a skid loader just to move it. I have a truck, and I was just going to get a little trailer and move it.
Right.
And I thought renting a skid loader was worth it because it literally was going to take like 30 minutes. I asked everyone I could. I was going into job sites at landscaping companies, just like, hey, can you come give me a hand? Like everything, just trying to save money. And when you're poor, you get really creative. And this one, I guess this was a failure, right? But I guess it's more of a success. But this is a good one though. Is I literally went to the parking lot at Home Depot. Yeah. And I saw a contractor going in there with a huge bobcat, and I was like, hey, I need a favor, and I'm over there. Can you come help me? And legit, that's how I got that guy to come help me.
That's awesome.
I paid him $50, and he loaded me.
Hey,
I was gonna pay $250 to go rent one.
Right. Hey, make it work.
So that's a big one. And then failures. Whew. Failures. We haven't had any big ones. Mm-hmm. I think one time, I'm trying to think. That's just one that I overcame. I think one failure I had is we used to subcontract our blue tortillas before I started my tortilla factory. Mm-hmm. I had someone else. I would take in the blue corn, and they would make the blue tortillas for me. And this individual, I didn't even sign a non-compete or anything because, it wasn't a big deal. It was just a small amount, and I didn't think the person even wanted to sign one for me. Well, this person actually had the guts that told me they wanted to take my idea to start selling their own blue corn tortillas.
Oh, wow.
And I was just like, goodness, what are we going to do? Because at that time, I was just taking them to a couple of restaurants. It was no big deal, but, it was nice because it was starting to get it was my idea.
A little bit of traction, yeah.
And I didn't sign the non-compete, and then this happened, and he had the guts to tell me this, and I was just like, okay, that's fine. You have your contracts, and I have my contracts, and we don't interfere with each other.
Sure.
And he said, that's fine. Well, I got a call from every single one of my vendors that guy came up and showed him my tortillas. Yeah. And, oh, man, that was probably the biggest one, and
sounds like
that
a nightmare,
was the biggest motivation of why I started my own tortilla factory.
Yeah.
So I was a failure. I should have learned, and I guess it could have been worse, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
That's tough.
we still haven't had huge failures, but that one's definitely.
That's a big hurdle to overcome, though. I mean,
Yeah.
Especially when you trust somebody. And, it's rough.
It sucked. I mean, at that time, I thought it was the worst thing ever.
Right. Yeah, I bet.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, I mean, now you have your own I mean, you might not have if that didn't happen.
Yeah.
So
No, it
blessing
didn't.
in disguise. Maybe.
So that's why they say your failures are sometimes can lead to your best successes, and maybe that's what it took.
Sure.
Because maybe without that happening, I probably wouldn't have the tortilla factory.
Right. Yeah, no doubt. What is your definition of success?
Success. Yeah, for everyone it's different, but just for my personal or what success would be for me for the business.
Either way.
Okay. Well, I think success to me, I guess I can kind of tie it in both ways. Isn't really so much how many bags of product I sold at the end of the day. To me, I'm not as worried about that. To me, I think honestly, what's the biggest motivator for me in success is how many people did I help. How many people did I change their diet to something healthier, a better alternative? One example is our pumpkin spice drink. Mm-hmm. You add warm milk to it. It only has 7 grams of sugar. A pumpkin spice latte from Starbucks has 45 grams of sugar.
Yeah, that's great.
So
a little bit healthier.
So we're definitely promoting health here. And so at the end of the day, it's just like how many people did I promote their health? And then how many people at the end of the day did I give back to? Right. That ties into the roots of what they did. You know, the Tarahumaras are an incredible tribe, and sadly, people never even heard about them until this American journalist went down there and wrote a book on them.
Yeah.
So to me, I think someday when I go to a Hispanic store, I go to a Dillon's. There's I don't know if you heard of Mexican hot chocolate called Abuelita.
Yeah.
It's huge.
Yeah.
Starting to get really big with the American market.
Yeah.
I think success would be one day you're walking down the aisle, you see chocolate Abuelita, and then you see a bag of Pinole Blue right next to it because we relate so close to each other on products. And if it gets to the international level, I mean, that's great too. And just that's to me is the biggest thing. Yeah. It's how many people did I help and how many people did I give back to.
That's awesome. That's a great goal. Do you have a life motto you live by, or what's some of the best advice you've ever received?
Yeah, a big one from my parents has always been, it's kind of cliche with how's it go? That like when you give favors and then favors will come back to you. Mm-hmm. Good deeds, right?
Yeah.
I'm a big guy with the deeds and just being nice. I think a lot of my success has honestly just been from meeting someone or just being nice. Like the freaking that Wichita state competition, my sister won it 10 years before me.
Oh wow.
I wasn't even gonna apply to it, and they actually sent me an invite to apply to it. And
that's amazing.
I come and I mean, yeah, I had good grades, but my ACT score and stuff weren't great. But you know, it's just the confidence and just being nice. You just never know of giving back, and I think that's a big one that I live by. And another motto that I think helps anyone really is one thing my mom has always told me, because we were raised pretty tough. Both parents were blue collar. My mom cleans houses for a living, and my dad does road construction. It's not really it's not how much money you make while working, because anyone can make money.
Right.
It's how you administrate that money. It's what's gonna get you along. It's just how you use that money. And yeah, it's cliche, right? Whatever, but it's actually a big thing. Like,
sure,
you can be really poor and you can still get by, just knowing how you're using your money.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. What is a habit that you've developed over the past few years that's most improved your life?
Improved my life. Definitely asking. That's improved me a lot. Like, I used to be very, well, I wasn't super timid, but I was always still scared, like, to even ask people, like, even ask a store owner or anything. And I've met so much incredible people just asking people to try my product. That's been a big one for me. And I know it's cliche again with just the being nice, but just being kind to other people, like, if you're nice to them, there's a chance they'll be nice to you. And if they're mad at you, just why are you going to be mad back at them? I mean, it's just, you don't have to be at the level. And so I think the biggest one is with that. And yeah, I will admit I'm terrible with trying to get sometimes into routines because my schedule's so crazy sometimes.
Oh, yeah, I bet. Yeah.
So I'm not the best one to ask on that. I'm not one of those entrepreneurs that gets up at 6 a.m., runs, he drinks coffee,
Right.
and is at the office. No, because my schedule's crazy sometimes.
Yeah.
Or sometimes I'm getting up at 4 a.m. to make tortillas, or sometimes I'm getting up sleeping in because I want to catch up on sleep. But
Yeah.
I mean, self-care is still huge, though. I still tell people, my schedule's crazy. People are like, how do you do that? How do you balance? And balance is big, like still make sure I try to get enough sleep, at least 7 hours. I try to eat my correct meals, work out when I can, and I go to a therapist. I think that's great. I think mental health is huge.
Yeah.
Almost every entrepreneur does some type of yoga or meditation or goes to a therapist.
Right.
I'm pretty bad with yoga, but if I had more time, I wish I could do it. And I think that's a big one, is balance.
Right.
Balance is huge.
Yeah, for sure. What's your favorite part of Wichita? Or is there a hidden gem that people might not know about?
Yeah, I mean, me not being from Wichita
Yeah.
is a little different, but I mean, I've been here for 5 years now, 6 years now.
Mm-hmm.
What do I like the most about Wichita? I think a lot of people say this is just being cheap is the greatest. Second of all, people are pretty nice. The other thing is the fact of how it has everything of a big city in small scales.
Yeah.
You can get from one side to the other. The other thing is even businesses. I mean, I like to brag about Wichita. It's like, hey, do you know, like, it's the air capital of the world. Do you know Coke Industries is there? Do you know Cargill's there? And people are just like mind blown,
Right.
One thing that you probably have zero idea about this, but if this interests anyone, it's cool. If they don't care, I don't care. But
Go for it.
You see that cardboard over there?
I do.
You see that guy with the hat?
I do.
So that guy's name is Pepe Tovar.
Okay.
He started a Hispanic, almost like a Tex-Mex band, a Tejano Norteño band.
Yeah.
He is from Wichita.
Really?
And he was in the 80s, I believe he started. He was huge in the 90s. He is so big. He's probably one of the hittest icons. I know he relates more to the Hispanic market. I get it.
Yeah.
But he has been even on the LA Times interviewed because
heard about him.
in the 90s or 80s, he was the biggest like Hispanic Tejano band on the U.S. side.
Wow. That's incredible.
Yeah, and people don't even know he's from Wichita. He actually owns the restaurant called Tacos y Mas over on right by Chernenberg on Oliver and Kellogg.
Yeah.
The little Mexican restaurant.
Yep.
Yeah, he owns that.
Wow.
This guy's like 70 years old, and I don't know, I might offend you,
Get him on the
Pepe.
podcast.
60 years old, and he's still going on tours and all over the U.S. He's been on some of the biggest Hispanic news channels. He's been on the
that's
LA
incredible.
Times.
I did not know anything about
And
that.
I mean, Hispanics don't even know who he is. My dad
Yeah.
had his cassettes, and we'd always listen to him.
No way.
Yeah. And I come to Wichita, and people had told me he lived here, right? But I didn't know much.
Yeah.
And I was eating at that restaurant. I don't know. When I first moved to Wichita, I was trying like all the taco places in town. As you know, we have a lot.
Uh-huh.
And he's just there, and I'm like, "Are you Pepe Tovar?" He's like, "Yes, sir." I was like, "Are you the Pepe Tovar?" He's like, "Yeah." I was like, "No way!" Like, I took a picture, sent it to my dad.
That's
amazing. And this guy's like, "Who the heck is this guy?" But anyways,
that's cool.
I partnered with him, but I reached out to him after I met him and
Yeah.
stuff, and we even made like a cool little funny Spanish YouTube video with
Yeah.
him. He comes out drinking the Tole, and it gets on his mustache. He's known for his mustache. I mean,
Yeah,
look at that
it's a
thing.
big
That
mustache.
has my handlebars on that thing. And
That's amazing.
And we made a YouTube video with him, and it exploded. Like, we have people
really?
all over watching. I think it's like got 14,000 views. That's the check.
Oh, wow.
And we have him now on our little display cases, and
Uh-huh.
it says for a good atole, it needs good Pinole, Pepe Tovar. And here in Wichita, it's sad. Like, a lot of people don't know about him, and he's not as huge. But you go to Colorado,
Yeah.
Nebraska, even Iowa, I didn't even know. People were like, "You know Pepe Tovar?" I was like, "Yeah, I got a picture with him." And they're like, "Holy cow!"
Man, I'm going to have to meet him. That's
yeah.
cool.
And especially, I mean, he's definitely more of the older generation. And he has have some songs that ties in some English and Spanish, and it's
I'm going to look him up right after.
he's
this.
hilarious. You need
I'll
to see
link
his
him up,
energy.
too. I'll link up that video, too, in the show notes.
Yeah, I'll send it to you. And so that, I mean, people probably don't want to hear this as a hidden gem, but for me, I think it's incredible.
That is really cool.
And then especially my generation, people have no idea, but all the older people, they know exactly who he is.
Right.
He was huge.
Yeah, that's really
Yeah.
cool. I'm definitely going to look that up.
So that's definitely a big one.
Nice.
But no, in Wichita, I mean, we have so many breweries and stuff. And one thing I always tell people is, yes, people complain it's boring,
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, if you were to really look into it, there's a lot of things going on in Wichita. So I think people need to just get out of that comfort zone and just go out and try stuff. I mean, you can join a running club. You can join the beer club. There's even like so many different churches groups and different stuff, and events are huge. Taco Fest is next week.
Yep.
It's grown so much popularity. We're going to be going there. Just the events, just be involved is what I really tell people. It's just like, if you complain about Wichita, then that's how Wichita's going to be. But if you go out and be involved, it's going to change.
Definitely. Side note, who has the best tacos in town?
Oh, man. I might get in trouble for this.
Okay, well, you can pass with this.
I'll give you some recommendations. A big favorite of mine is, we might be a little biased here, is Los Compadres Mexican Grill. Yeah. They use our blue tortillas. Yeah. So the tacos on the blue tortillas.
Biased,
yeah, a little biased. Yeah. That one's really good. I'm a big fan of those. Another big one, this is maybe one of the most underrated Mexican restaurants in Wichita. It's clear down on 47th and Broadway.
Okay.
Called El Viejito.
I have not been down there.
It just opened. He used to be on the west side.
Okay.
Right by that Applebee's.
Okay.
Way down there. It's on that corner, right in front of Dylan's. Is my favorite Mexican restaurant. Okay. I highly recommend it to anyone.
Yeah.
Not trying to be biased. He also mixed stuff with our blue corn, and then he also mixed us with our blue corn dough.
Yeah.
It's called a huarache. It's kind of like a tostada.
Mm-hmm.
He lays it out, makes it with our blue corn dough, and then we'll add rice and beans. No, sorry. We'll only add rice. We'll add beans to it, and then put whatever meat you want.
Yeah.
And then we'll put sauce and sour cream.
Sounds good. Yeah.
Oh, it's freaking delicious.
I should try that.
And it has $1 tacos on Tuesdays.
Perfect. Even better.
But no, overall, Wichita has so many taco options. I just
a lot.
make sure to tell people, just go out and try something different,
Yeah.
I mean, sorry if I offend everyone on there, but there's a lot of good ones. I mean, Publix, you're making tacos with our tortillas.
Yeah.
Los Pinos is a good one, too. A lot of the food trucks are really good.
They are.
One of my favorite food trucks just closed, so.
Yeah.
It was up on Broadway, so.
Okay.
It just really depends what you want.
For sure. Is there anything which doesn't have that you wish it did?
Oh. I'm trying to think here.
Or anything you wish Wichita could
I was thinking
improve,
something really cheesy like the Cheesecake Factory, but
somebody else has mentioned that actually.
Really?
Yeah. It was right around the time like the Wichita Cheesecake just opened.
Yeah.
So
I haven't gone either. But I'm a cheesecake fan, but I don't think we need a Cheesecake Factory. Like I only eat the cheesecake. I don't even eat the food at Cheesecake Factory, but they're everywhere. I mean, this might be shooting big, but I wish we had. Wichita State, a football team would be awesome. And, we had a professional sports team. Yeah, that'd be awesome. But I don't know. I think if we were to compare our city, like let's say to Tulsa or something similar, I just wish we could still be more connected, and especially with like the entrepreneurial spirit and just the small business. Don't get me wrong, it's came a long way, but I think we can still do a better job. Yeah, because if you could like compare it to other cities, each city has their own uniqueness, and so that's what I think. Every city is a little bit different. So I think like Wichita sometimes is trying too hard to be like other cities.
Yeah.
And doesn't focus within itself.
Sure.
And that's my view on it. And I think like, hey, like just because they're doing something else doesn't mean we need to do it too,
Right.
Or just because they started one. I think we need to be traditional and showing our own ways, what we're different of,
Right.
Like support the local artists and support this and stuff,
100%.
Go to the local farmers market, just something that makes it different,
Yeah, absolutely.
We don't need more chains, so scratch out the Cheesecake Factory, but just something that makes it different,
Yeah.
So I think that's a big one. The whole, and we do. We got like the whole Cowtown area. We got the Old Town area that's very different, unique. We're the air capital of the world, and I think sometimes we do a great job with the flag and stuff, but the factories are just on the outskirts. You don't. A lot of people don't know about it, so I don't know. We had more inclusion with that too.
Yeah, definitely.
Just something, Wichita State, we have quite a bit. Our basketball program and a lot of the huge with all the engineering and stuff. Just something that makes it more different. So I think if we quit focusing kind of being like other cities and trying to work within ourselves too.
Definitely.
Yeah, and at the same time, don't get me wrong, we don't want to be too left behind from the trend. So we definitely need to be more on top of that too.
Mm-hmm. So what does Wichita mean to you?
Wow. Wichita to me has definitely became my second city. I came here not knowing anyone. Since the get-ground, I joined the Hispanic American Leadership Organization at Wichita State. I was the president there. I was always out going around meeting businesses and just meeting people and getting my name out in the community. And to me, I would say, I think we can almost say, like, without Wichita, Pinole Blue wouldn't exist. You know, the fact that people were willing to try our products at least come here to try our tacos in a parking lot in a car in an industrial area. So I think Wichita to me is not only like the birthplace to my business. I almost call it like my baby, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
It's definitely been the big door to me. I mean, it's where I came for my education, and now it's where I came for my business, and it's opened a lot of other doors for me.
Yeah.
Could this happen in another city? Yeah, maybe, but the way it's been, the way it has been already, I mean, when I tell people about my business and stuff like that, or the people I've met so far, they're just like, wow, like, you sound like you're in a startup area in like San Francisco or something, you know? People are just amazed, like, Wichita, Kansas, really? So to me, now I'm proud to tell people, we started in Wichita, Kansas, and I'm from a small town in Kansas, and I'm a very proud Kansan. Like, I'm always like bragging about facts, you know, like, we produce your wheat, we know you make our beef. but no, I think it's everything. I mean, and Wichita's very unique. We have so many different cultures. We have so many different religions.
Yeah.
There's a lot of employment. It's pretty solid. And I feel like for the most part, any place you go to Wichita, there's just a blend of different foods, a blend of different people. And,
100%.
And it doesn't matter your background. I think that's a big one for Wichita, and it means a lot to me. I look at Wichita almost like, how would I give you a good explanation of this? Kind of like in the 1800s, when the U.S. was expanding and so many wave of immigrants were coming and people were bringing different ideas and stuff. I think as Wichita is that. I think we're like the pioneer land right now, because we have so many different cultures coming here. We have so many different types of foods. Yeah. It is just like the perfect picture of what America is. And people working together in all types of backgrounds. We have tons of agriculture. We have lots of manufacturing. And to me, I think that's what Wichita is to me. I think it's a perfect example of what the U.S. should be.
Awesome. I like that. Where can people find you on social media? Personal or Pinole Blue?
Yeah, Pinole Blue, just Pinole, Blue, Blue, Pinole Blue.
Okay.
Most of the time, I'm the one checking the messages too. Yeah. So if you can send us an email, most of the emails are just contact at Pinole Blue. Okay. Send us a DM. Come here, 242 North Cleveland. I promise you, if I'm not here, all my employees are very friendly. They can tell you. And if anyone... the phone number, we don't even have a business number. It goes to my cell phone, so I'll answer the phone. And if I don't get back to you, I'm sorry. We're really, really busy, but we do a really good job trying to keep up with everyone.
Yeah, for sure. So just last thing, do you have any final comments or calls to action for the community or Wichita?
No, maybe I said too much. I don't know if I bored people, but
no, this is awesome.
But no, I think we just, like I said, we're doing a good job, and we need to continue to grow as a community, and other big businesses maybe need to help the little businesses out. If you've been a Mexican restaurant for 20 years and you're doing a great job, and here's little Eddie with a blue corn tortilla, like, it wouldn't be a bad idea just to put it on the menu for a week or something. Just give it a try. I mean, step out of the comfort zone just for a little bit. And I mean, this is just an example for me, right?
Right.
But everyone, I mean, if you've never even gone to the farmer's market, just go there one day. If you've 100%. Never gone to a Final Friday, go to the Final Friday. Like, just go step out of your comfort zone. I think it's a big one for Wichita.
Cool. All right, Eddie.